Hello, hello. We have our first match going to be soon underway. I'm just waiting for the passer to get into the game. But while we do that, or while we wait for that at least, let's look at the decks. So we have Siaka versus Judo. Siaka brought. I'm not even gonna say the deck name. But this is a Grim Reminders Dr. X combo list. It's going to use Iron X Rebels paired with the Doctor's Loxifrex and the Zip the Implanters. Two rule of six, both Zip, Iron X are all free creatures. Zip, Iron X Rebel, and Dr. X. It has a lot of tools in Geistoid to start cycling. You got double junk restoration. You have Winds of Death. You have Holiday of Strong Feeling, which is another line that he can take with this deck. So there's a couple angles of attack that it has. So this is a very kind of a notorious Grim Reminders list. It is Vietnamese, as Riku says. So it is a one of the decks that he probably opened, or someone else similar. I think it was someone else that actually opened it. But yeah, a lot of creature control, 40C, 31 expected amber. Has a lot of really nice tools to be able to kind of answer whatever Judo is gonna try to do. But well, let's see what Judo's trying to do. He brought Flamingeef, the Lackey Urchin. This is a deck that I can actually say. Also, Grim Reminders, but instead of using Mars, like Dr. X Rule 6, it is going for Final Refrain. Hey, it's the name of the tournament. Has some tools to start getting haunted quick. Double market fluctuation can be very disruptive if found early. The main point is the Brobnar here. It's got the Brick Nasty and a bunch of big giant creatures combined with Final Refrain, which can potentially hold the ranks of Shaka's Rule 6 combo. So we'll see how those go. It's going to be a very interesting matchup. It could honestly, this is one that could go either way. It depends on when the combo hits for Shaka, and if Judo has the response for it. The Memorialize the Fallen is going to be big for him. If he can find the Memorialize, all right. Well, as I speak, looks like we are getting into game. And let me change these out. So Judo's going to be on the bottom. Shaka's going to be on the top here. And we're going to be off to the races. Also, apologies that the it may look a little odd with the screen size. But yeah. Looks like Shaka is going to be on the play. And Shaka mulligan. Judo did not. And let's see what Shaka starts with. He's going to call Equidon here. He's going to play Incarnation Pod with a discard pip. So starting the cycle early can potentially disrupt Judo's Final Refrain, putting like notable creatures like Brick Nasty on the bottom of the deck, making it a lot more difficult to fire off big bursts from the Final Refrain. I'm waiting to see what he discards. Looks like discards Old Tinker here. So it might signal that he's not going Equidon next turn. Judo goes Brobnar. We got Brick Nasty. We got a Skullface. And we got a Recklessness. Recklessness is going to discard Veil of Ectoplasm, Incarnation Pod, and Mehmet from Judo. It's going to discard Ironix Rebel, Permanent Record, and Junk Restoration from Siaka. Um, and it'll also purge the final refrain and the freelancer because the incarnation pod was discarded. That's a big deal. That is a huge hit. Also, Berserker slams his own Ornar Skull face to get the amber. Siaka is going to call Geistoid here. We're going to see a junk restoration come out from him. Discards Dr. X, Mars First, and Holiday Festival. We'll see if he decides to take any of those back. Brings back the Dr. X. Presumably makes sense. Infiltrator to kill that Brick Nasty on the end of Judo's turn. And we'll see the turn flip right back to Judo. Judo's just going to play Ecto Charge here for the Amber Pip. Fuzel's going to get discarded. That is a Legacy Fuzel as well, by the way. Kind of fun. Gonna just play BR Geist for the Amber Pip and then let the Brick Nasty die off. So 4 Amber on Judo's side here, 2 on Siaka's. We'll see what Siaka can bring up. Siaka calling Mars. He does have the Dr. X in hand. He also does have an Ironix Rebel here in the discard pile. So it looks like that's exactly what he's going to start doing. He is going to bring out those Martians. We're going to see Dr. X Reap, bringing back Ironix Rebel. Ready the whole team. Psychic Network's going to steal 3 Amber. For Rule of 6 counting, there's currently 2 on the Ironix Rebel. He's been played once and has... it's actually been played twice. We'll see. I think Siaka probably think about what to fight here. Looks like he's going to fight into the Ornar here. Smart choice. That's the one thing that can kill off the Dr. X. We'll see if he chooses to fight to kill the Infiltrator potentially, or just say, hey, I am totally fine with you having it. Leave it up. But yeah, this is not a great start here for Judo. I got some friends rooting for Tom here. But yeah, very notable still is that final refrain has been purged. Purged immediately off the incarnation pod. Looks like Siaka's just going to do a double reap with the Ironix Rebels. Say reap with the Dr. X as well. No Mars creatures in his discard, unfortunately. Can't bring anything back. Tom's going to go into Equidon. Market Fluctuation's going to draw 3 cards for Tom. And we'll also discard 3 cards from Siaka, since Shaka's not haunted. So that will discard Portal Monster, Touchstone, and Grim Reaper. Is going to reap with the Infiltrator. Generous offer to steal 2 Amber and then discards a couple Equidon creatures. Siaka is going to forge his first key. But it has a very dangerous Mars board to be left kind of unchecked right now. No Mars creatures in the discard pile currently. But honestly, he probably doesn't need the discard or the Mars creatures in discard as long as he has something going on. Looks like Siaka's going to go right back into Mars here. Reap, reap, reap. And that's all he wrote. Which generous offer like to steal him out? Yeah. Tom's going to go right into Geistoid. Going to junk Restoration to return a Grim Reaper to his hand. Also discards Gemcoat and Estate Sale. Snippy's going to kill a Rebel. Dark Lamp's going to capture 2, and then we're probably going to see Snippy and X purged with Grim Reaper, which is what we see now. Judo going on check. That is a big purge as well. Gets rid of one of the Dr. X's. So if Siaka doesn't have an answer for this Grim Reaper, it can do some damage. Notably, we did not see Siaka play any Mars cards last turn, so that implies that he has 3 cards not of Mars. Siaka currently has Freelancer as well as Dr. X purged, and Tom has Final Refrain Snippy. Siaka gonna call Geistoid. Gonna do the Winds of Death, so that's gonna archive Ironix Rebel, Infiltrator, Grim Reaper, Touchstone, Portal Monster, and Old Tinker from Siaka, and then Gemcoat, Rumor Sower, Lee Darkin, Skullface, Brick Nasty, Foozle, and Mehmet for Judo. Gonna play a strong feeling, discards the second, wins the death, and ends the turn. So Judo has got 7 amber, so he is going to be able to forge his first key. Yeah, the final refrain was purged off of a recklessness, discarding an incarnation pod, which purged the final refrain as well as the freelancer. Tom's gonna call into Brobnar. He's gonna play Foozle. He's gonna play Brick Nasty. Plays the Skullface. Plays Thunderdell. Captures onto the Skullface. And it's gonna start a riot. Gonna reap 3 more times. And he's gonna pass the turn. No, he did not get to check. He's at 5 amber. Siaka at 4 amber, 1 key. So we'll see what Siaka has in response. Now, Siaka has 40 creature control score, so he has no shortage of answers. Both Winds of Deaths have been played and discarded at this point, but there are multiple de-escalations that can come out to play. There's also a War of the Worlds that can potentially do some damage if that is allowed to hit the board. Siaka is going to call Equidon here. Presumably, we're going to see a de-escalation here to clear off the Brobnar. We do see the de-escalation. Discards Webster. Plays Ledgermane for the Amber Pip. Looks like Siaka's deciding what else to do here. Plays a Pen Pal. Discards War of the Worlds. Presumably doesn't need the that anymore. Is also going to use Incarnation Pod here. We'll see what he decides to target with that Incarnation Pod. Notably, these are currently the discard piles. Looks like still wait and see. It looks like Winds of Death is going to the bottom of the deck for I'm not sure which, but I believe it was Siaka's. And yeah, this is currently Tom's discard. Siaka going on check as well. 6 cards in hand, 6 cards in archive. Most one of those, or I think one of those is a rebel. So potentially Mars stuff could come out next turn. If you're Tom here, you're in a very difficult situation. You lost your best creature control answer immediately. So he doesn't have that line he can rely on anymore. Hey, Ashitaka. Good to see you. And we'll see what Tom goes for. Tom can call Geistoid, pulls archives. Notably, there was a Mehmet as well as, I believe, a Touchstone. Mehmet's going to archive Brick Nasty, going to archive the Foozle, and plays a Plow Sword. Gets to check, unable to answer, or decides not to answer Siaka's second key. So Siaka's going to forge his second key of the game. And we'll see what he decides. The Curse Tomb here is actually huge, though. So this will potentially stop any Rule 6 shenanigans from happening, since the creatures will get destroyed when they are reaped with zip. So Siaka's had an interesting turn here to think about. And I believe right now there's no simple way in Mars to answer the Cursed Tomb. The War of the Worlds got discarded last turn, which may bite Siaka later on. As if he had the War of the Worlds, he'd be able to play it and completely destroy the whole board and get rid of the Cursed Tomb, which would allow him to do his Rule 6 without disruption. But that Cursed Tomb's looks like it's gonna cause a problem for Siaka here. Siaka does also have a bunch of Equidon creatures in archives. He does have a portal monster, I believe, in archives right now. Yes. So there's a portal monster in the archive. So if Shaka wants to, he could take Tom off a check here for a pretty large amount, as well as get rid of the curse tomb with a de-escalation. We have only seen the one de-escalation play, or two de-escalations played. One was, or two de-escalations hit the discard. One was played, and it looks like Shaka is going to go into Equidon here, presumably to play that portal monster to stop the Forge. So immediately reap with Pen Pal to just gain 1 amber here. No point in exhausting. And we'll see what else Shaka has. Shaka gonna play the de-escalation. Is going to purge everything. Gonna decide to do the purge off of the destroy trigger off the curse tomb first before the Mehmet destroyed trigger, so that will prevent the archiving from happening off the Mehmets as well as the de-escalation. Curse tomb gets purged as there are no more creatures in play, so that is a potential sigh of relief for Shaka. He's gonna play a Tinker with a capture pit, captures onto the Tinker. We will see the portal monster come down here. That will stop, or both of these cards will stop Tom's second key. Key cost of 23 right now. Discards Belligerent Guard. Probably doesn't have any need to play that right now. We'll see what else Shaka has. And Shaka is just gonna pass. Tom 5 amber, 1 key. Shaka 2 keys, 1 amber. And key cost that is puts Eddie to shame, as we would say. Tom is now left in a pretty precarious spot here. Did lose the curse tomb. Does call Equidon here. He's gonna mark a fluctuation just to possibly draw an answer. That will draw cards for Shaka as well. We're gonna see a talent scout here. Now, notably, if Shaka had the Dr. X in hand, he'd probably grab that, but instead goes for the Ironix Rebel here. Plays a Lee Darkin. Looks like he's just gonna play a bunch of creatures here. Rumor Sower's gonna come out. Pull Up Stake's gonna bounce the Talent Scout back to hand. See the Talent Scout come out again. I believe there's only 1 copy of Pull Up Stakes in the deck. Yes. Talent Scout, Pull Up Stakes. Yes, the classic. Yeah, extremely, extremely good line that he can take. Notably keeps the Ironix Rebel on his board because this will make sure that if whatever shenanigans happen, it won't be in Shaka's discard off for the Winds of Death that he returned. Gonna grab the second Ironix Rebel, which will ready the, or actually doesn't ready the Ironix Rebel. Gonna see a Mid-Year Festivities come out. We're gonna see Gemcoat Vendor played and check on 11 amber here. So notably, the Tom not grabbing the well, actually, he possibly has a Dr. X in hand. Shaka does. But the double rebels here mean that all 3 rebels are now in the discard pile, which means there is no readying, and the Mars First is also here in the discard. So no zip plays, no rebel stuff, no Dr. X immediately. Has to wait a turn. Winds of Death is at the bottom of the deck. It was Incarnation potted earlier. So unfortunately, Shaka is going to have to clear through a bunch of things just to be able to get the Winds of Death off. Let's see, we have 1 Winds of Death already discarded. We see the Strong Feelings, so there's no readying with the Geistoid. as well as the Holiday Festival. And there's no real way Siaka can take Tom off a check here. So Tom swinging the game right back over to his side. But yeah, this is a huge check for 11. This potentially threatens 2 keys going on. Siaka gonna call Geistler. Plays Haunted House here. Sad to see that late for Siaka. Doesn't get as much amber now with it versus now. Grim Reaper coming down. Siaka thinking about what he wants to discard here off this Grim Reaper. Discards the Reaver off of that. We see Touchstone coming into play. See Infiltrator coming out on the side of Judo or Tom. And we'll see Reaper Reap, and it'll purge Gemcoat Vendor and Grim Reaper now. Tom was able to get his second key going. So 5 amber, 2 keys, calls Brobnar. We did see a bunch of the Giants get played already. We do not have the Cacophonous Riot to ready anything. It's going to play Thunderdell, discards a card, discards Hollow plays Foozle, plays Brick, plays a Shock Herder to kill off the Touchstone, and also gain an Amber. So this is Tom on check for last key now. And we'll see if Siaka has any way to answer this this key here. Which I will check the list real quick on DOK. But I believe there's no easy way to stop the key. Oh, wait, no. There is a Portal Monster in hand, which that is a very last minute kind of Hail Mary play. So Siaka is going to use the Haunted House here. Gains 1 amber. Gonna play Old Tinker to capture 1. And presumably we will see the Portal Monster here. And potentially no other plays. Yes, so notably Siaka can no longer flip the deck at risk of Tom forging his last key. We're going to see Incarnation Pod here, which is very notable. It can bring back something important to potentially set up Siaka for this endgame scenario here. But this does leave a very unchecked Brobnar board. A very scary one, if that. That is going to gain a bunch of amber for Tom here. Decidedly, if Tom does go into Brobnar. Siaka is going to return the Psychic Network to the bottom of his deck. And Tom's just going to immediately go into Brobnar here. Thunderdell is going to fight and kill the Portal Monster here. Gains an amber with the Brick. Reaps with Foozle, which gains an additional amber because a creature died this turn. Infiltrator will reap. Brick Nasty will reap. And that is check at 10. Possibly more. We'll see. And that will be check at 10. Infiltrator will destroy the Foozle. So Siaka now has 3 amber, 6 cards in hand. Will call Equidon here. Cannot flip the deck here at risk of the Portal Monster key tax going away. Gonna use that Haunted House once again to gain an amber. Old Tinker on the board too, which could potentially reap the cycle. We'll play the Portal Monster here. The Portal Monster potentially will go infinite as long as Siaka just keeps getting 1 amber at a time here. Plays the Portal Monster, comes down. Incarnation Pod's going to return a Rebel. So it is... Siaka here is trying to set up for a late game push. He's attempting to go for his Iron X Rebel stuff. He's going to discard the pull-up stakes. So this means with the Reap of the Old Tinker, this will draw into his Iron X Rebel, double zip, Dr. X. This has a huge hand, a huge deal. But the Portal Monster is the only way that's going to tax anything. There is the Psychic Network, but Psychic Network can only steal so much. Currently purged, the 1 Dr. X is purged, so limits, possibly limits Siaka a tiny bit, but not by much. Just the reality is just he just needs 1. Tom's going to call Geistoid here. We'll play Junk Restoration, discarding a Cacophonous Riot, a Recklessness, and an Estate Sale. And we see that Tom does not bring back any of those. We'll Reap with the Infiltrator, is going to play the Dark Lamp, captures couple amber, plays the Plow Sword, potentially returns the Shock Herder to the bottom of his deck. And that will kill the Old Tinker. The Portal Monster lives another day. This is getting really close here at the end. Siaka keys cost 28 currently. Tom at 13 amber. So we'll see what Siaka is able to answer here. Has to keep the Portal Monster up. Or if he wants to just end the turn, he could. But he will flip regardless. So Siaka needs to find a way to get Tom off of check for 13. He's going to call Equidon. He's going to use the Incarnation Pod to gain Amber. He's going to Reap with the Portal Monster. And we'll possibly see an Incarnation Pod here. The Incarnation Pod does hit. Siaka realizing that if he does play the Mars creatures, he may not have enough tools to answer a 13 Amber check. So he'll at least need to steal 8 amber with a Psychic Network. And flipping means that the keys will cost -2, which is also, that means just now he needs to have way more amber than necessary. He needs to steal 10, which I don't believe is possible with his deck. It's going to put Iron X Rebel on the bottom of the deck and readies and does not draw. So this is also a pretty threatening state from Siaka, because the Infiltrator is not on the board. It will kill the Dark Lamp at the end of the turn, which will give Siaka an amber. So Tom can't kill this. Cannot kill the the Portal Monster. He's gonna play Veil, captures more amber. He's gonna use this Plow Sword now. Kills off the Portal Monster, and that is that Portal Monster answered. Tom is now on check for 16 amber. Notably, Portal Monster is in archives, so that could be cause for some problems, and it does come back down. Portal Monster played. Haunted House gains an amber here. Keys cost 26. We'll see what if or what Siaka wants to use that Incarnation Pod. Is going to use that and returns the other Iron X Rebel to the bottom of the deck. So we're in the stall here with this Portal Monster, just holding on for dear life. It's gonna go Equidon here. That is a huge market fluctuation here. So that's gonna discard Double Zip and Psychic Network. The Portal Monster does die. Mid-year Festivities is gonna gain a bunch of amber here. I'm just gonna go through it because things are happening way too fast. So Tinker discarded Skullface to kill the portal monster. Mid-year festivities gained a bunch of amber. Talent Scout's going to steal the Dr. X. Berserker Slam gets discarded off the Talent Scout. Pull-up stakes happens. Plays the Talent Scout. Discards Rumor Sower. Target Y comes down. Market Fluctuation gets archived. And that is check at 28 amber for Tom here. And Shaka's going to say, GG's, well played. We'll see the concede coming out from him. Let me make sure that this log copied. And I'm going to... As the log saved. So, Tom is going to take a immediate game 1 win after quite the Portal Monster Slogfest. And that is a big win for Tom here. Yeah, that is a great win despite the rough start, and looks like I have been kicked out. I don't think it went through. Damn. One moment, por favor. Okay, looks like the game is back up. That was a heck of a game, yeah. Despite coming back, or despite losing the final refrain early. Looks like Shaka is going to take the second player here. So Shaka wants to be on the oh. Yeah, the final refrain purged in final refrain. So Tom is going to be the first player in this game. All right. So Tom's gonna go turn 1 Talent Scout here. Card images are currently not loading. There we go. And it's gonna grab the Ironix Rebel here from Shaka. Shaka gonna immediately go into Geistoid. We'll play Holiday Festival, discards Freelancer, Permanent Record, Portal Monster, Pull Up Stakes, and Mars first. It's going to play Junk Restoration. It's going to discard War of the Worlds, Touchstone, and Old Tinker. And decides not to bring any of those back. Oh yeah, and the Haunted House was also played. Tom's going to immediately go back in Equidon. Generous offer to steal 2 Amber. Incarnation Pod for the Amber Pip. Pull up stakes to bounce that creature back. And then we'll see a Belligerent Guard and then a Talent Scout to reveal no creatures in hand. So that Talent Scout's going to be free on the side of Shaka with no qualms. But this does see that, or this reveals that Shaka does have no Mars creatures at the moment. Tom is going to play Gemcoat Vendor, and that is 6 Amber, check for first key with not many good answers for that key. Shaka is going to play Ledger Main, is going to play the Incarnation Pod, discards a De-Escalation, and also discards the Strong Feeling. Gains the Amber off the Haunted House and says, hey, Tom, you can forge the first key. So Tom will exactly do that. Calls Brobnar, goes Soul Bomb, Berserker slams the Talent Scout here. And is also going to play a Foozle. And passes a turn right back. Shaka is going to call Geistoid, use the Haunted House, gains an Amber, plays Junk Restoration, discards 2 Mars creatures. We have Zip and Dr. X here discarded, and as well as a Reaver. And we'll turn the Dr. X to hand. Grim Reaper's going to come down here with a discard pip. Discards de-escalation. One of the many in Siaka's list. Now we'll see what Siaka decides to do with this Grim Reaper. It decides, leaves it up, readies, and passes the turn right over. Notably, Soul Bomb cannot kill this Grim Reaper at the moment. Tom is not haunted. So that line is kind of out of the play right now. We'll see Tom here calling Geistoid as his current active house. He's going to play Veil of Ectoplasm, discards the Plow Sword in hand here. Captures, looks like just one amber here. Mehmet will archive the Veil of Ectoplasm. Dark Lamp's going to capture a couple amber here. And we'll see Tom ready to draw 4. He did keep 2 cards in hand. He's purposely discarded a Geistoid card off of the discard pip. So potentially setting up something for a later turn in hand, possibly Final Refrain or some Brobnar stuff. Potentially. The turn will swing right back to Siaka here. Siaka's going to call Mars. Use that Haunted House, gains an amber. We'll see what Siaka wants to do. Looks like Dr. X coming down, and the party might be starting with Zip. Although, probably frustrating for Siaka here because of the 3 creatures with amber captured on them. Target Y is going to archive a War of the Worlds. And we'll see Iron X Rebel coming down here, readying both the Dr. X and the Target Y. Well, let's take a look at what Siaka has discarded at the moment. There's currently 1 other Rebel as well as the Zip here in discard. Target Y is going to fight Foozle, which will destroy it. Dr. X will reap. See what he decides to bring back. Brings back the Rebel here. Readies the team. Psychic Network here. Huge swing. Going to steal 3 amber here from Tom. Iron X Rebel currently a Rule 6 count of 2. Can only play it or use it 4 more times this turn. Iron X Rebel is going to fight into the Foozle here. This deals, we're currently at 4 damage here. And Siaka contemplating on what he wants to do. He's going to reap with Dr. X here. Brings back an Iron X Rebel. Opts not to use the other Iron X Rebel before readying it here. potentially for Rule 6 tracking reasons. Can only kill that Foozle one more time, so. Or he can only fight into the Foozle one more time at least. Reaps with the Dr. X. Here comes target Y. It's going to ready to target Y. Archives the Psychic Network here. Iron X Rebel is going to reap here. It's the second one as well. Target Y is going to reap and archive itself. And Plague Wind's going to come down here. It's going to destroy a lot of things. The Mehmet will archive Plowsword. And that is check for 11 Amber on the side of Siaka here. So Tom here. Let's see what he has in hand. If he has the Cursed Tomb, that will be a huge deal. Also, we see Orion. Thank you for bringing everyone over. We are in Game 2 currently. Tom won Game 1. Very close towards the end, but then bursted it out of control. And currently in Game 2, Tom has 1 key, no Amber. Siaka has 0 keys, 11 Amber. So yeah, we'll see if Tom has a good answer here. If he has a Cursed Tomb, that could potentially be a huge deal, disrupting what Siaka has going on with the Mars creatures. Calls Geistler. It's going to pull archives here. Junk Restoration will discard Cursed Tomb, Snippy, and the Holiday Festival. That Cursed Tomb hit is huge. Obviously, he's going to pick that up. We will see the Dark Lamp here reap, and we'll probably see that Cursed Tomb played as well as the Soul Bomb pop. Cursed Tomb gains the Amber. That is some huge hits if the Soul Bomb does end up getting used here. Mehmet here is going to be played. Archives the Junk Restoration. Yeah, that was a huge Junk Restoration. Hitting the Cursed Tomb. Very clutch. Plot Sword here is going to get discarded. Veil of Ectoplasm to capture onto the Mehmet. To archive, or to make sure it doesn't get purged off of any potential shenanigans happening. And Tom's just going to say, hey, I'm going to check, or I'm going to just leave this board up. Not going to use the Soul Bomb here, leaving a bunch of the Mars guys here, knowing that if Siaka does want to play into Mars, that he will be purging a lot more than just what's on the board right now. Siaka is going to forge his first key. He is at 1 key, or 1 Amber. Well, we'll see what Siaka decides to do here. Very, very interesting turn that he's going to have to take here. Cannot fight the Iron X Rebels in to kill anything at the moment because the Dark Lamp is elusive. He has to fight in twice to guarantee an Iron X Rebel at least dying. Is going to call Mars here, pulls the archives to hand. Psychic Network going to steal the last 3 Amber that Judo has. Haunted House will gain 1. Notably, we did see Siaka archive the War of the Worlds here, so we may see that played preemptively just to get rid of the whole board and get rid of that Cursed Tomb, which is going to cause him some problems. Iron X Rebel going to reap. Will discard a target Y, presumably to bring back with Dr. X. The second Iron X Rebel reaps. Dr. X reaps as well. Target Y enters play ready. Archives the Psychic Network. Reaps to archive the target Y. And readies everything. Checks at 9. So deciding not to War of the Worlds here, leaving everything up. Say, hey, I have 6 Amber on your creatures. Tom's going to go into Equidon here. Steals 1 Amber using the Gem Coat action. Mid-year festivities here coming down. That's going to be a 6 Amber for Tom here, as well as purging all the Mars creatures. So potentially that backfired quite a bit. Mehmet's going to archive Veil of Ectoplasm here. And we see quite a lot of good Mars creatures purged on the side of Siaka here. Um, on Tom's side, we do see the Mehmet, the Dark Lamp, both get purged as well. Market fluctuation is going to come down one time for both players to draw 3 cards, and then comes down a second time um, to draw 3 cards. Siaka does flip his deck, so he discards 3, discards the other Ironix Rebel, as well as a Zip and a permanent record. So out of 13 cards, he hit 2 key Mars cards. Estate Sale's going to come down. That will purge a Plow Sword. Gets that out of here. Incarnation Pod is going to return Rebel to the bottom of Shaka's deck to prevent any Winds of Death happening. And that's check for Tom's second key at 12 Amber. Siaka is going to forge his second key at 6 Amber. We'll see what Siaka is able to do here. Tom currently threatening 2 keys. Obviously not in one turn, but in back-to-back turns that potentially could fire off on him. Shotgun gonna have a good think about this here. Has no easy way to steal a bunch of Amber anymore. All the Ironix Rebels are currently discarded or purged, or bottom of the deck or purged, I should say. So Winds of Death is not going to get any semblance of value, unfortunately, here for Siaka. That Cursed Tomb putting in huge work. Looks like Siaka is going to call Geistoid here. Leaves Archives. Archives are currently Psychic Network as well as a target Y. On Tom's side, I am not sure what is currently archived. I believe one of the cards is a Veil of Ectoplasm. The other card is, I believe what was played. So it's going to be Junk Restoration, Veil of Ectoplasm on the side of Tom, currently archived. Siaka, sorry, Siaka does have potential plays with Holiday Festival and the Strong Feeling, so potentially could get back up to check that way. Depending on how many cards, of course, are in there. Infiltrator going to come down on the side of Tom. Obviously, having Treachery means that is going to go to Tom. Discards the Webster, discards 2 Winds of Deaths, and is going to swing the turn back over. Does not draw at 6 cards currently. Tom is going to forge his second key, calls Geistoid. We see Junk Restoration grabbing Recklessness, BR Geist, and Rumor Sower. Ecto Charge is not in discards. So that means there's potential for an Ecto Charge coming down here. Soul Bomb's gonna destroy everything. Grim Reaper reaps, gains an Amber, purges itself. Veil of Ectoplasm to capture nothing. BR Geist plays the Talent Scout here to play the Dr. X. And if Tom has the Ecto Charge here, the Ecto Charge is going to fire. And that will be Tom taking the games 2-0. Very, very good end of turn or end of the game for Tom here. Was able to keep that Mars board on check. The Cursed Tomb, absolutely MVP here, as well as that mid-year festivities to be able to pull a bunch of Amber off his own creatures and swing the tempo back into his direction. Very, very good set of games here coming out. So 2-0 will be the final score for Tom versus Judo. The next match that Final Refrain, or will be happening in the Final Refrain, will be later today. That'll be at 8 o'clock Central Time, in about 6 hours or so. So hopefully y'all will tune in there. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. I will gonna close out the day here, or close out my day at least here. So I appreciate everyone from stopping by. Thank you for both Siaka and Tom for a very entertaining set of 2 games here. And we will see Tom go